I'm going to show you how I deal with all the excess eggshells that we get. We eat a lot of eggs in this house. We have a lot of eggs, so we eat a lot of eggs. And so I'm going to show you what we do with them. But first I'm going to show you this. This is just a pan of eggs that I'm scrambling up. I get almost on a daily basis at least one egg that I would say, I call them irregulars. There's something not quite right about them. There might be a crack in them, there might be a hole, the shell might just not be quite right on it. And anytime that the shell is not right on an egg, you should not eat it, because that's how bacteria gets introduced into the egg itself, is through an imperfection in the shell. And sometimes I really don't know why it happens, but I get at least probably one a day or one every other day that is just what I would call irregular. And what I do is I have a bowl on my counter, and when I find one of those irregular eggs, I just stick it in the bowl. And when I've accumulated several, I scramble them up and I feed them back to my chickens. It's a good source of protein for the chickens, and as long as they are cooked in a cooked form, it will not cause your chicken to become an egg eater. Some chickens will start eating their own eggs, but as long as you cook the eggs first, they don't recognize it as their egg, and so they won't become egg eaters. So I just wanted to show you that. I'm scrambling this up, and of course you let it cool down. You don't feed it to them hot. And I will give this back to my chickens. That way there's no waste. I mean, otherwise you could just, throw those eggs away. I would never sell an irregular egg, and I would never feed an irregular egg to my family. I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk anybody getting salmonella or getting sick. So that's what I do with my irregular eggs. So like I said, we eat a lot of eggs in this family. My children and my husband love them, and my husband eats a couple of eggs every morning for breakfast. And so what we do is we have a paper plate, and he will just rinse the eggshell out and put it on the plate. And when the plate gets full like this, then I'll transfer it to like this container. I thought this container would be enough, a big enough container, but obviously it's not. So I have a couple of Ziploc bags here too. I transfer the eggs to these, and then I store them in the refrigerator until I get an abundance that I will cook off. So here's the abundance of eggshells that I have. So once I get an amount like this, then what I do is I bake them in the oven. And what I do first, and I did a lot of baking. I baked some bread and stuff over this week. That's why these plates are so full like this, because otherwise I don't leave them sitting on my counter like this. They get put in the refrigerator. But these are just from like yesterday. So I dump them in the hot water in the sink. Some of these are stuck to the plate. And you wouldn't have to wash them or rinse them, but I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't stink up my house when they're cooking in the oven as badly if I rinse them off first. So I just douse them in the water, and I don't worry if the two shell halves are stuck together, because they'll bake in the oven anyways. So then I just rinse them off in the hot water, and I place them on cookie sheets that I have lined with parchment paper. Like I said in one of my other videos, I use parchment paper for everything. And if I didn't line these, the eggshells, even though I rinse them, they still have residue of egg white and whatnot. And it would get all over the cookie sheet, and it would be more difficult for us to get clean. So I just line them with parchment paper, and then when they're done baking, I can just throw the parchment paper away. I still wash the pans, but it just makes the cleanup easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wash up all these eggs and get them on these cookie sheets, and then I will come back and show you how many we got on the cookie sheets before I put them in the oven. I'll be right back. So there we have 4 pans of washed eggshells that are ready to go into the oven. And I will bake them at 250 degrees for, I don't really time it, it's usually just a couple of hours. Sometimes I forget about it and it's in there for longer than that, and it doesn't seem to bother them at all. It doesn't hurt them at all. At 250 degrees it would take a really long time for them to actually burn. So I'm going to go ahead and get those in the oven, and then when we come back I will show you how I grind them up and how I use them after they're ground up. What I do is once I bake them, I kind of gather up all the baked ones until I have quite a pile and before I start grinding them up. I figure if I'm going to do this process, I want to do it with a lot of eggshells and not have to do it as often. So I just kind of hang on to them until I have a big quantity that have been baked gathered up before I do the next step. But when I come back, you will see me doing the next step. Alright, so here are all of the dried eggshells that I've been accumulating. And these have been washed and processed in the oven like I showed you, and they're very brittle and dried out. So the next part of the process is to run them through a food processor to make them really fine. And what I do first, so that I can fit more in the processor at a time, is I just take them and I squish them right in the bag. And then I pour them into my food processor. So it's pretty full. And then I just process it. And this is a very loud process, so I'm just going to pause you and not make you listen to that. So I'll be right back. So this is what one Ziploc bag full of eggshells looks like when they're all ground up. Got about half a container full. And so after each bag, I'll take the food processor. Well, this is going to take 2 hands. Hold on. So I take the thing off of the food processor, and then I have this old ice cream bucket, and I just pour them into this container. So I'm going to go ahead and process up, woo, look at that dust. I'm going to go ahead and process up the rest of these eggshells, and then when I get back I will show you how full this bucket is when I get them all processed. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here is all of the eggshells ground up, and it's almost, I don't know, I would say maybe 4 quarts, because this is a 5-quart bucket and it's not all the way full. Now I grind my eggshells really fine because I have read in different places that as long as you grind up the shells really fine, you can feed these back to your chickens and they don't really recognize it as eggshells, and so it will not promote egg eating in your chickens. Just like you can feed them eggs, but you have to cook them. So that's why I grind mine up really fine. Now, if you don't have chickens, or if you want to use your eggshells to put in your garden, you don't have to grind them up so fine. My mother used to crush up eggshells and leave them in bigger shards and scatter them around her tomato plants, and she thought that, I don't know how well it worked. I think it worked because she kept doing it, but the idea was to keep the tomato worms away. They would crawl across those sharp eggshells and be deterred and not want to go up into the plant. They're also really good for your soil, just to till into the soil as well. But I am not a gardener. I don't do well with plants. I have poor soil and I just don't have a green thumb. So what I use my eggshells exclusively for is to feed back to my chickens and my ducks as a source of calcium. It saves me money not having to buy the oyster shell, and it also reuses the eggshells and goes to a good use. It's like a cycle. Feed them to my chickens and they produce more eggs. We use the eggs and then do this process with the eggshells and feed them back to the chickens, so it's a big circle. So let's go feed them to my chickens and ducks. Okay, we're in my duck pen and I'm going to, this is just an old dog food dish that I use for oyster shell or eggshell. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand and not make a mess, but just kind of fill up both sides. Give them some. And I got to give some to these duckies. Hey girls! This is their pan. Give them some. Hi ladies! I was just noticing this morning that one of my ducks that's in here seems like her leg problem is getting better. So I might be able to let her out with the other ducks this year, which would be nice. Nice for her. Not so nice for the other one that'll be stuck in there by herself, but okay. So now let's come down and give these chickies some. Chickies. Chickies. Back, ladies. Back. Get back. Get back, ladies. All right. They also have a dog dish, and they always fill it with dirt. I don't understand why they do that, but they do. All right, ladies. Here's eggshells for you. Yeah, go have at it. Let's see if they eat any right away. No, they just go dig where I moved the dish. Here we go. They found it. And I think that they will only eat them if they really need it. It's like they can sense when they need calcium. Oh, you can eat it out of the bucket? Go ahead. Nosy. You guys are just nosy, that's all. Alright, gotta go give some to the other chickens. Theirs is inside their building. Their food and water, everything is inside. Keeps it from getting rained. Hi, ladies. Hi, ladies. Yeah. You guys are really nosy. There you go. Have some. You want it out of the bucket? You gonna eat it out of the bucket? Yeah. Nosy chickens. You guys are nosy. You guys need some water. I need to get them some water. Woo! Well, something startled them. Oh, look at that. They spilt their eggshells. Dopey little birds. I'll give them a few more. There we go. All right. There we go. Got them their eggshells. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. Just show you what I do with my eggshells. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.